live. Let's see if this works. Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah, and you are tuning into episode 3 of Girl Power, the new spin-off podcast by Invest Universal. We are women supporting and inspiring women to invest in themselves. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this episode a like if you enjoy it. All right, my guest today is a Maine-dwelling ray of sunshine with her bright eyes, big smile, and kind heart. We spent several shifts together as waitresses, serving organic flatbread pizza to customers in the city of Boston. But now she is an avid photographer, inspired by sunlight and a passion for telling her audience's story. But beyond the flash of the camera bulb, she is also a naturist who is passionate about how she chooses to fuel her mind, body, and soul. Welcome to the show, Jessica. We are so excited to have you here. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm doing well. It's so great to see you, and this is awesome. So yeah, it's a great morning so far.
I'm so excited to hear that, and it's also just as good to see you. So let's kick it off with our first, what we should talk about. So we both work at Flatbread Company, which is locally sourced. They have an extensive compost program for their waste, for their packaging. They have all organic food. They do a lot of community events a lot of benefit events for the community. So what drew you to working with such a green, eco-friendly company?
Yeah, so the path that led me to flatbread is one that I definitely still treasure because it was like a catalyst for a lot in my life. But basically, I was going to school in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I actually ended up getting sick with Lyme disease, ended up dropping out of college, and decided to pursue my health coaching certificate. And I needed a job that would allow me to kind of be in that environment of health and wellness and like around people that kind of got that while I was working so hard to pay my tuition and make that happen.
Yeah.
And so I took like a 45-minute drive every day to go there, and it was so worth it. And just really being in the environment where people got it, which wasn't common, I guess you could say, where I was from. So I took a little bit of a drive. It was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same. It was, I had a meal delivery company which was sourcing organic and locally sourced foods. And when I was using waitressing to help supplement and take the financial pressure off of that business so I could pay people, I also, for the same reasons, were drawn to the support for that type of ecosystem, especially in the food industry, but which is just such a large industry, but really wanting to be around healing my body with foods, putting natural food into my body, and supporting companies that were doing that.
Yes. Oh, I just got chills.
Right?
Love
I'm so
it.
sorry you had gotten Lyme disease. That's intense.
It's all for a reason, it all teaches us something. So definitely learned so much from that journey. So
For
it's
sure.
okay.
What are your thoughts on the current food ecosystem and its impact on the environment?
Yeah, so the current food ecosystem, I think we have a lot of crises happening surrounding it, and it can kind of be overwhelming. And so I've been trying to focus on what is kind of happening in my community as far as the ecosystem goes. And something that's been a really big theme up here in Maine is PFAs and forever chemicals on farms. And there are actually some areas around here where you're not allowed to hunt anymore because of the amount of concentrated chemicals found in the animals. So I think that there's a lot of work to do. I don't think that anything's, totally irreversible, but I think that, yeah, there's a lot of work to do with our ecosystem for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think we have overfished the oceans. I think humans that in it of themselves take for granted what we are removed from what we used to be when we lived in the environment. And I think now, because things are so modernized and we've evolved so much, that it's almost like we're disassociated with the fact that we are one with nature. And then we abuse that with how we produce food, how that impacts the environment, and how the whole entire supply chain starts to get contaminated, for lack of better words, of, with chemicals, but also with, you know, practices. So I completely agree with you. Maine is so pretty. I'm really happy to hear that they do so much for the environment in that way.
Yeah, they send out like free testing kits and things, so they definitely are. They're advocating for farmers, so
Yeah.
it's hopefully
Yay.
something we can turn around quickly. Yeah.
Let's hope. We definitely need it. So,
hmm
tell us the story then of behind your motto of slow and intentionally living with nature, because I absolutely love that.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of came together honestly over like years and years of really trying to figure out what health meant to me.
Mm.
Because at first it was this big, it was this acute thing that I could see and say, I need to eat a certain way and this is health and it's very narrow. And then over time I can kind of grow to see it actually includes, my lifestyle. It actually includes my thoughts. It actually includes my people I surround myself with and my community. And it is all health.
Mm.
And so I think at the end of the day, for me, the way that I learned to live the healthiest is to try and be slow and intentional because no matter what food is going to be good for me this day, that might not be good for me this week, like next week, if I'm slow and intentional, I can kind of align with those changes and seasons and hopefully live in as a vibrant as like a state that I can without being like super restrictive of what I view health as, if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, my turn to get chills. What you said there that gave me the chills was how sometimes food one day is good for your body, and food is not good for that same food is not good for your body the next week. That is
Mm.
so important, because I think in health and wellness, in and of itself, the industry, they almost give you a blanket statement. You need to eat this way, follow this. And I think there is an ebb and flow to what the body does want, and intentionally, intuitively eating is then becomes the deeper layers of getting to know yourself, what works for you, being present with yourself, being grounded enough to know that, all right, I'm feeling the need to have this today. And it can be playful, whether it's, maybe a dessert one day, but then you don't crave that the next day because you're nourishing yourself overall with whole foods and just, things that nature designed for us to consume. So I
Yes.
absolutely love that.
I try.
Awesome.
It's not always easy. I'm from the suburbs of Boston, so slowing down is not always the easiest, but
I'm still in those suburbs. So I
yeah, I know how it is. It's hard.
it is. I would love to move to Maine.
It's still
Um,
crazy up here, believe it or not, but yeah, we try.
Yeah, I think society has that like go, go, go mentality. I think that's part of the disassociation with nature too, is that we are conditioned to have to be productive, and that toxic positivity where it can just be sometimes too much, when it's really okay to take breaks and relax, reconnect. I think that in itself is a delicate dance that you have to really be attuned to yourself. And that does take time. It does take trial and error, and it takes the willingness to want to show up. And you know what I mean? And,
Mm.
and do the
hmm
work, explore yourself, be open to seeing how your body and your mind respond to the things that you choose to do, whether you feed yourself this way or you take this activity, you do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, listening, so much listening. Listening to our bodies and yes, absolutely.
For sure, for sure. All right. So, what advice would you give to some of our viewers who are looking to live more naturally?
So I always say that The best thing to do is actually not to add more to yourself or your schedule or your routine, but to remove things
Mhm.
because it can be so overwhelming to just say to yourself, I need to do this. I need to go for a run every day. I need to add this in my schedule. But what are the things now that are taking up your space, taking up your time that might not be serving you, might not be serving where you want to be, where you're going? And how can you take steps to create boundaries around them or remove them totally? So that's kind of where I would start.
That is so powerful. Ladies, when we have been conditioned to serve other people all of our lives, right? Like
Mm.
whether we've been underrepresented or we've been the caretakers, because by nature we birth children and it's like almost in our DNA to care for somebody else. It is so important to slow down. I love that answer. I love that motto because I have myself have fallen into the trap of go, 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 go. I want to make these changes. And I do think it's super, super important that when you're changing habits or you're developing changing old habits, you have to replace them with new habits. And when you try to go full steam, it just can backfire because it becomes overwhelming. So when you start small and you identify where pain points are in your life, learning how to then set that boundary, know that doesn't work for me, how to communicate that, and then take action to make the actual change. Well, if I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do this instead. And then you start to begin to develop the momentum. Hopefully, you then surround yourself with people that will help you stay on track and inspire you because they're doing that in their lives as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. I love that so much. Your environment is everything. Absolutely.
Cool, cool. All right. So, I just out of curiosity, what are you doing for movement these days?
For movement, so I'm doing lots of functional movement. So I have like 5 photo shoots a week in this season of life. And so I'm squatting heavily for a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
I'm doing gardening. We're building a pretty big garden out here. So we've got like tons of like kind of like farm work, garden work. So lots of functional stuff and lots of like dancing. I've been doing a lot of dancing lately.
Release the energy.
Yes, exactly. Oh, sometimes it just has to come out, like no matter what time of day it is. It's just like, okay, I just gotta stop and dance for a few minutes. My energy's just gotta move.
Yeah, it really does. Movement in it of itself is a personal expression. And I know you have done yoga in the past. So, what I have learned beyond even yoga, but reinforced by yoga, was how much your posture, your alignment, your movements are expression of how you actually feel inside. And
Mm,
when you move and you let the energy flow, it allows the chakras, it allows all of
mhm.
the energy to flow, and the outward expression becomes like when people view it, they can feel it. And then that can change their day and inspire them. So when you choose to do those impulsive dance moves and you just let it on out, people get to bask in that gloriousness, right?
Aw, I love that so much. And it's true because I definitely feel that way when I see people in that state. It can definitely help ground you into just like, oh, what to-do list, like this is my body, this is where I am, just kind of being present. So totally.
And I absolutely love gardening. Do you want any clippings? Because my over.
Those are awesome. Oh my gosh, I love
I
those.
wasn't
So many
expecting them to be
babies.
so big, but I don't think spider plants are easy.
Yes, I love spider plants. I have one out there too. That's about the only one I have inside right now. Believe it or not, it's actually just one spider plant, but
Well, awesome. I can't wait to see your garden through, your accounts and everything. And I know it's summertime, so as a photographer, it is your busy season. So taking care of functional movements are important because reality is if you couldn't squat down, that would impact your job, which would then impact the quality of your life. So there really is a direct correlation to taking care of your body so that you can do things.
100%. Oh yeah, stretching is part of my routine for real because even just sitting at the computer for hours editing, it's like we need that movement.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So, how did you get into photography and why photography?
So photography, it sounds so cheesy, but it's always been like something that I've really enjoyed and loved. And I had so much respect for it that I never saw myself in those shoes as like a photographer. And I've taken classes, and just the way it was presented to me always felt like there's so much to know and I'll never know it all. And then over the years, I kind of just like let myself have more fun with like styling my friends, taking photos of them. I had a family member that had a couple of actually like wellness events that I photographed, and she offered to pay me for them. And that was the first time that I kind of had the exchange, and it felt so right and so good. And I was just like, this is something that I have to explore, you know? And then, yeah, and then in 2020, I was just kind of like, if everything can get taken from us so quickly, if I'm not doing what I love, then what am I doing? So that was when I really decided to just like feet on the ground, just kind of go for it and open, a real business around it. And I've had so much fun doing it since. So it's been so fun.
All right, ladies, there's two nuggets of information that Jessica just gave to us all. The first is to be okay with it being messy in the beginning and just take small steps with it. I think that in and of itself is so important because you can't hit the ground running and just expect to be perfect at something. You have to learn, and learning is messy. There's mistakes, there's there's wins, and it's an entire process that's unfolding, and in the unfolding of that, the artistry, in this case a creative passion, begins to take hold and develop, and the audience of your customers begin to get to see that development. You build the confidence, and then it goes forward, and you're allowed to, and then someone asks, to pay you, and then it takes off from there. So that is a huge nugget. Do you agree?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I say it so often, like, embrace failure, fail up, don't be afraid to fail. It's just all part of it. And, perfectionism will really keep you in a box that your dreams don't live in. You have to get outside of it. You have to get outside of that box. You have to be okay with things not being perfect 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. The second nugget really comes down to when you start a business, then you you took an opportunity of something like the pandemic happening, and then you realize that life is so short. So you can either choose to want to go down a path that doesn't have you aren't taking actions that are bringing you joy, and that is a
Mm,
really hard decision sometimes, because you might have conditioning from childhood, or society in it itself says you need to be this version of yourself, to do this to make others happy. And
mm,
when you step into the space of connecting with yourself enough, doing the work that you've done, we've talked about here, you then, when an opportunity presents itself, you can then take action to know, no, this doesn't feel right, but this feels right. So now I'm going to move forward in this direction. And I just
yeah,
love that.
thank you. It's been quite a journey.
Sure. And that's what it is. Like, that goes back to, it doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey, and that journey isn't linear. It is bends and twists and ups and downs, and all of the emotions that we feel are part of that journey. And that in and of itself gives you personal development to understand and get the clarity of what it is that you want, because clarity is key, right?
Yes, absolutely. It totally is. And the best way to get clarity is to just take messy action. Just do it. And then you'll just see so much that you just couldn't see before, or you're waiting for it to be revealed. Like, just getting in there is the best way to get clarity.
Yeah, for sure. All right. You mentioned that your photography captures the beautiful moments amongst all the struggles, the ups and downs of life. So knowing the struggle is guaranteed, has this inspired your own choices for how you nourish your mind and soul?
Yes, I love this question so much.
Feel that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So I've always sort of had an understanding that it takes both the good and the bad to make the world go around, and it's kind of been comforting to me, I guess, when those times come that we are feels like it's just a rain cloud following us for months, years, however long that chapter ends up being.
Sure.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, really just when you take that action and when you're putting your best foot forward, you can sleep at night knowing that you are doing your best. And for me, that is taking care of my mind, body, and spirit, no matter the good and the bad in life. Because if I went to bed knowing I did my best, I tried my best, I gave it my all, even if it was a failure, even if it was a low day, I did everything that I could. And I am overall in my life doing everything that I could to get where I want to be or to feel how I want to feel. And so I can rest in that, I guess. And I've definitely had chapters in my life where I haven't been feeling like I was headed the direction that I want to be. And it can be so much harder to accept those lows during that time because it's just like, there's not that light at the end of the tunnel. But
Right.
if you keep going, you'll get the clarity, you'll understand why. And then just knowing that, trusting yourself, keeping your promises to yourself enough to know that you'll be okay is like so healing mind, body, spirit.
Ladies, listen to that advice. Everything she just said is so true. Just let that sink in for a moment because life is success is not guaranteed. It is a guarantee that you will struggle. But when you accept that struggle and you show up, whether it's messy or not, you are taking action to help yourself feel good, build momentum, and move in a direction that I truly do believe that if you put your energy into developing a skill enough, you can get there. But there are skills that you can gain faster than others. Like, for example,
Mm.
I would love to sing. Well, half the time I can't breathe because my allergies are so bad. I could go to singing lessons, which I did for years, and I could develop that skill. However, I'm a fitness trainer. I train at the pace in which I train is a lot faster for me to develop that skill than it is for me to invest in singing. So while I will get better at both, if I choose to pursue fitness, I will actually get there 10 times faster than with singing. So again, you can continue to show up and develop, but really getting to know what works for you and your strengths, then you begin, yeah, you
Yes.
really take off, right?
It's so true. And like I said, photography was something that was always there and it almost wasn't shiny enough. It almost didn't feel like this could be my purpose because it was always there. And I had this kind of whatever subconscious thing in me to go harder, find do the harder route, find the harder thing. And I tried and failed at so many different things. And then I was like, wait, this is something that's so natural and I'm already getting paid to do it and it's already there. And if I just kind of like allow myself to accept that,
Yeah.
then yeah, like you said, it's just you just can get there so much more easefully and enjoyably. So yeah, totally. Hmm.
All right, all right. So, real quick, because we got to wrap this up. What role has photography played in helping you discover what you are meant to be?
Yeah, so I love this question too. I think that um, it's really a crazy experience to put your work out there to the world, and it's really scary. And I honestly don't share as much of it as I probably should, but I think that just being really vulnerable and saying like this is something that I love, putting it out there, and having others either see that you love it and appreciate that, or love it themselves, can really reflect to you that you're in the right space, you know? So I would say that that's probably,
Yeah, that goes back to like that dance, when you impulsively dance. When you are passionate about what you do, it comes natural to you. You've taken the action to develop the skills, which is still work, but it's easier. Then that shines through to the customer. And it absolutely comes across, I think, in your photography. Because when I look at your stories or I look at your brand and the pictures that you're pointing out, I don't know. I feel the beauty. I feel the moment. I feel the connection, and that translates because you are connected to your work and you are in alignment with who you are, and that's coming across. So,
thank you.
with
Thanks so much.
awesome. Well, with us talking about this, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram pretty often. My handle is at Jessica Llafeur. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am these days. So yeah, I would love to connect on there. So yeah.
Absolutely, Instagram is the place to be.
It
Well,
is, yeah.
Jessica,
I
thank
haven't
you
tried any of
so
those new ones yet, but
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as we age, like they just keep coming out, and at some point, this is where I'm gonna be.
exactly,
Plus, I
exactly.
think Instagram for what you're trying to do with photography would, because it is a portfolio of your work, so that would be a platform that I think would be the best avenue for you. So
Yeah,
I feel it.
it works well. Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Jessica, so much for being with us here today on Invest Universal. This is episode 3 of Girl Power. I hope you ladies have all enjoyed this. So I want to hear from you all, ladies. What do you currently think about the ecosystem that we have, the food ecosystem, or just the environmental ecosystem we have in the United States right now, or perhaps even your own country? And what is one passion that you have that you want to pursue that we can help support you in getting there? So thanks so much again, Jessica, and thanks for you all for tuning in to Girl Power. I am Deborah, and I'll check you in the next episode.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It was so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.